Hello, everybody. I know that I had said I didn't want to do no more coronavirus videos, but after yesterday's announcement, I couldn't resist. I was going to do this video yesterday, but I was way too pissed and way too scared of swearing too much on the video. So I'll try to stay calm, even though I'm still pissed. I'll try to stay calm. And this video is a bit me stating my emotions and at what point I have arrived towards this virus. I have lost all hope. I would like to say I want to fight, but I just have no more hope. I don't think we will be going back to a normal life, open quotes, because I just don't think we're going to get there. There's too many people that are too comfortable in this new reality and that are pushing for a kind of sustainable lockdown for many reasons. It's not even only about the virus no more. They want to take advantage of the fact of this pandemic to advance their political and ideological narratives and rhetoric and agendas. And I just don't see us coming out of it. So anyways, here goes. I have a few things to show you. So hope you guys enjoy. Let's start off with Tony Robbins. What he has to say, it's his opinion, not mine. But I pretty much can say that I assume he is right. Okay, so here we go.
If you want to educate yourself, you don't have to be a person that's terribly, you don't have to be thinking in different ways. Just go read John Hopkins' report. They took it down after one day, but 2 weeks ago they came out here in America. They took it down, but if you go on the Wayback Machine, you can go back on your computer and go back in time on the web. So people have already published it again and again. And what it shows is the same number of people have died this year, 2020, has died in 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016, and 2015. 2.8 million people. It's within 10 to 15,000 people every year. The same number of old people died in 2020. The only difference is when they looked by disease. Heart disease, for the first time in 30 years, has come down. Cancer has come down. But COVID has gone up in the exact proportions. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Same number of people died. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, the flu has disappeared. It's flatlined. What are the symptoms of the flu? And by the way, flu kills people, and especially kills older people. So we're living in a world where a lot of people might be overreacting because they're trying to protect us because they thought at a 3% mortality rate or 4%, that would be a pandemic. But today, depending on whose research you read, it's 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, which is the same as the flu. And if you're under 50, it's way below that. So we live in a world that if we let people control our focus, we're just going to live in fear and do nothing. And we're going to be people that manage our circumstances. But
Okay. So this is Tony Robbins. So if you guys want to go look up that John Hopkins report, you can do. He explains how to do it in the video. And don't even come at me with the fact that he's not an expert, a scientist, or a doctor. There's many doctors that have the same opinion as him and that stated the same facts as him. So unless you have evidence to the contrary of what he's saying, don't even bother. That's at the point that I'm at. All right? So let's move on. Okay? I'll make you listen to a doctor that was a guest on an MSNBC show named Dr. William Hazeltine. Okay? He thinks, over here, don't get overly optimistic about the COVID vaccine. We're in it for decades-long battle. All right? So listen to what he has to say.
concerns that was expressed about the vaccine, as great as it is to have it, Dr. Hazeltine, is that people will kind of see that light at the end of the tunnel as an excuse to maybe loosen up on some of the things that they've been doing. And a question everybody has is when there'll be herd immunity. Dr. Fauci has acknowledged he's moved his goalpost. Early on, it was 60 to 70%. Maybe about a month ago, he said 70, 75%. Now he's telling CNBC maybe 75 to 80 plus percent. Is that your thinking? And how long realistically should people wrap their brains around the fact that you have to wear a mask, you have to wash your hands? It's a while before we're going to have that herd immunity.
Well, I think there are a number of questions that you've asked. The first is, what about vaccine euphoria? I think that is misplaced because it's going to be a long time before most people get the vaccine.
Vaccine euphoria. Interesting way of wording it.
And we need, as just been said very clearly and eloquently, we need to follow the rules. And we're not following the rules. That's partly because we have leadership, which is encouraging us not to follow the leaders, both federal leadership and state leadership in some places, is saying don't follow the rules. And people don't want to follow these rules. They're restrictive. That's understandable. The second thing is, what can we really expect? We're learning now a lot really quickly about this virus. And it may be that what we're looking at is not once and done like polio with the vaccines, but much more like the flu, where we're going to have this move from pandemic to endemic, where we're going to have to keep really good track of what's going on and adjust our vaccines to the strains that emerge. These strains that are emerging are very troubling. We don't have the full picture, but I believe because we haven't looked in the United States, we haven't found. But you'll see, I think, in the next few weeks, that we have our own homegrown strains, and we have to start thinking about adjusting the vaccines. So this is probably going to be much more like a decades-long battle that we have with the flu than a once-and-done battle that we've had with polio.
Okay, so basically what he's saying is what I've been saying for months, that this virus is not going to go away. And we must learn how to live with it. So that it's a seasonal virus, that it comes in waves and it goes and then it comes back and it goes. And what he says, we'll have to adjust the vaccines to the different variants, just like we do with the flu. So explain to me how different this is than what I've been saying for months. But I digress. Let's continue. Here we go. In the USA Today, from, I'll tell you the date, so I'm fully transparent, published October 10th, 2020, okay, titled, When Will Things Go Back to Normal? Experts say that's the wrong question amid COVID-19. Okay, now let's go down to this paragraph. A lingering threat. The fight against this highly contagious virus continues to define daily life. Cases are rising. The president was diagnosed with COVID-19. Disneyland is still closed, and the death toll is comparable to some of our most tragic wars. Fear-mongering. That won't always be the case. Sipersky described a scenario in which increasingly effective vaccines and treatments will slowly reduce the spread of the virus over the course of years. A gradual process rather than a quick return to what life was like in January 20th. So this virus is gonna, the spread of the virus is gonna last years. So back in the same subject of this virus not going away, and that we have to learn how to live with it. And already the media in October, even before that, I found articles from July, even May, saying that we shouldn't expect to go back to a normal life. But I'll continue giving you examples. Okay? This is an opinion piece in the New York Times. All right? So maybe I should have loaded these articles before I started the video, but whatever. I'm just going to give you the title on this one, the headline. Stop expecting life to go back to normal next year. This was written September 15th, 2020. So basically what he's saying is for us not to expect to go back to a normal life in 2021. Okay. Now let's go to another news article. This one is from CTV News, published May 21st, 2020. Okay, so this goes back to the beginning of the first wave. Well, maybe the middle of the first wave. Titled, Normal Was the Problem. Why one expert says we shouldn't go back to the way it was. So let me see over here. Canadians should not be striving for a return to normal after the first wave of the COVID-19 pandemic, according to a mental health physician who argues that weak public and health services allowed the virus to take a deadly toll on certain segments of the population. Dr. Kwame McKenzie, a psychiatrist and the director of health equity at the Center for Addiction and Mental Health, says the pandemic has exposed serious underlying problems in healthcare and social services, the economy, and long-term care sector. When people say, hey, let's just open up and go back to normal, I say, just a second, normal was the problem. We actually need a new normal, he told CTV during a telephone interview on Thursday. So again, pushing the narrative that the normal life we had before the pandemic was the problem and that we need a new normal. Okay. So continuing and showing you this one from ordi.org. Blogs, COVID-19, we won't get back to normal because normal was the problem. Okay. Now let's see, where's the part I wanted to read for you guys. All right, I'm just going to read it. I think it's at the beginning. So, discussions about the world that will emerge from the coronavirus pandemic have already started apace. Many commentators are wondering whether the crisis offers the opportunity to set the world on a more sustainable and equal path. Okay? Somebody explain to me what this has to do with the coronavirus or the COVID-19 disease. The COVID-19 recovery offers an opportunity to create a different type of normal. One that can help restore trust in the state and reaffirm crucial economic and social rights. So we see here a pattern of the left wanting to use this pandemic to forward their political agendas. Let's move on. Okay, so this one is published by Leeds Beckett University from August 12, 2020. Headline goes, we shouldn't go back to normal. Okay? So the end of the first paragraph, she says, this is why we hear people's eagerness to go back to normal. But then he continues, but we shouldn't go back to normal. For lots of people, normal means suffering racism on a daily basis. Okay, so racism because of the pandemic has totally stopped? How freaking stupid is that? The national curriculum doesn't reflect the diversity of the current society, nor it discusses the colonial underpinnings of Britain. Black children are more likely to be excluded and face discrimination in schools. We have public services that are structurally racist and are legitimized to discriminate. The media often attacks public figures based on the color of their skin. Once again, what the hell does this have to do with the pandemic? Okay. So, this over here. Let me see, load this page. Okay, yesterday, Prime Minister Legault wanted to congratulate Quebecers that are following the measures, because since the measures are in place, the numbers are going down. So it means the measures are working, which is total BS. Total BS. Because the pattern follows, the virus spread follows the same pattern everywhere. Okay, which is on average 8 to 12 weeks of it going up, 2 to 4 weeks of it stabilizing, and then 6 to 8 weeks of it going down. That's been the pattern of every wave in every country. Obviously, the cases are different in certain jurisdictions, but the pattern is the same. Okay? So here you see in Canada, before I go to Canada, let me show you Quebec and compared to the other provinces. So this over here, where on the right side of the screen that you see are the infections, the cases, right? So this is the curve, goes and then it goes up, right? That's Ontario. Let me show you Quebec. Same pattern. Goes up and it starts coming down at the same time. Alberta, same thing. British Columbia, same thing. Manitoba, same thing. So I could go on and on and on, but they're all the same thing. Go check for yourself. Okay? Now, if you want to compare Canada to the United States, for example. So this is the curve, right? So as of January 9th is when it starts going down, right? Okay, so it goes up. It starts going up around September 20th. Goes up, goes up, goes up. Starts stabilizing around maybe, what, over here, a bit before Christmas. There's a dip at around Christmas time, but that might be because of the lack of testing around that time. So then it goes up. So, okay, it continues going up. Well, then January 8th, it starts stabilizing, and then up, a week later, 2 weeks, starts going down. So that's Canada, right? All right. So now let's go check somebody that's close to us, so it's comparable. Right? Find this for you. United States. Okay? Look at the curve. Now, don't mind the numbers of cases, because we know they have a much bigger country, and they've had a lot of places with absolutely no lockdown and some with strict lockdowns. But look at the curve. Okay? Look at the curve. The same dip around Christmas, the same rise, and then on the same day around, it starts going down again. So now I'm going to give you an example of the worst state with the worst lockdown measures. Look at the curve. All right? Same thing. Around the 20th. Well, them, it's actually stabilized in California. It was still stabilized around the beginning of September. But the curve is the same. The pattern of the curve is the same. Goes up, stabilizes, and then starts going down. Right? That's California with the strictest lockdown. Now let's go check Florida that has no lockdowns. Look at that. They had a bit of a spike in July during the summer. Then it stabilizes. And then they have less cases than California, but the pattern of the curve is the same. With no lockdowns, no curfews, everything's open. Okay? Look at this. Same thing. January 11th starts going down. So now you see the pattern that is everywhere the same, no matter the restrictions or the measures put in place. We know what the important measures are. Washing your hands, wearing your mask when you can't keep the social distancing, and try to keep your social distancing in all other situations where it is possible. I have no problem with that. But you can't not have in a year, 12-month period, businesses that are closed 9 of those 12 months. It just doesn't make sense. People are losing their businesses, their livelihoods. People are committing suicide. So, can we please find another approach? But I guess they don't want to find another approach. Because when government puts stuff in places that they say is temporary, 95% of the time, most of it will stay permanently. Because I know governments love to grow their power. They don't like to give it back. Sorry if I seem like I'm pissed, because I am pissed. I'll try to stay calm for the end of this video. And I want to show you one last, and it's not an article, it's a website for Project Syndicate, okay? Which is an environmental activist group funded by Open Society. So, I'm not going to tell you who funds Open Society. Go look it up for yourself, because I don't want to get banned. But go look up Open Society and who funds it. And I'll tell you, okay? So Project Syndicate, right? And their manifesto on this, I'll call it that, is avoiding a climate lockdown. So to spare you the verbal vomit that is this article, okay, it's written by Mariana Mazzucato. Basically, I'll read you a bit. The world is approaching a tipping point on climate change, when protecting the future of civilization will require dramatic interventions. Avoiding the scenario will require a green economic transformation, and thus a radical overhaul of corporate governance, finance, policy, and energy systems. London, written in London. As COVID-19 spread earlier this year, governments introduced lockdowns in order to prevent a public health emergency from spinning out of control. In the near future, the world may need to resort to lockdowns again, this time to tackle a climate emergency. So people, get prepared, because these people are advocating for climate lockdowns now. So what you're living right now, with your businesses being closed, bankruptcies, suicides, it's only going to get worse. Because they're going to push, instead of a sanitary emergency, they're going to push a climate emergency. And lockdowns will be needed. So if you think that we will be going back to a normal life anytime soon, well, I'm not going to say you're being naive, but let's just say I got a bridge to sell you. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. Comment in the comment section if you want. Share if you'd like. And subscribe. All right, guys. See you soon.